The night air trembled as Emma felt her breath freeze when Daniel knelt before her in the candlelit garden. The roses glowed under string lights, her heart racing faster than her pulse. Daniel said, "Emma, you are my forever. Will you marry me?" Her lips parted, joy flooding her chest, and she whispered, "Yes." In that instant, her world seemed to blaze with light. Then her phone buzzed, a late call piercing the fragile silence. She answered, and a trembling female voice spoke, "He just asked me to marry him too." Emma's fingers shook as if the universe had tilted. Daniel's smile faltered, confusion flickering in his eyes as her face drained of color. The ring felt heavy, no longer a symbol of love but of betrayal, its sparkle mocking the hope she had seconds ago. Emma tried to shake away the voice, convincing herself it was a mistake, a cruel prank. Daniel said, "What's wrong? You look pale." She forced a smile, whispering, "Nothing, just overwhelmed." Inside, her chest burned with doubt. The laughter of neighbors in the distance mocked her silence. She clung to Daniel's hand, his warmth feeling like fire against ice. Her mind replayed the caller's words until they carved deeper into her thoughts. She wanted to believe him, to believe in the proposal's purity. Yet, a shadow had already settled between them, unseen but suffocating. The promise of forever now stood on shaking ground. Later that night, as Daniel prepared tea in the kitchen, Emma heard him murmur a name in his sleep-like tone, "Clara." Her heart skipped. She whispered to herself, "Who is Clara?" He entered with a casual grin, handing her the cup. She asked, "Did you just say something?" Daniel shook his head, dismissing it with ease. Her smile wavered as she took a sip, the warmth of tea clashing with the frost spreading inside her. Every sound now seemed to carry weight, every gesture a secret. She wanted to trust, but suspicion pressed heavy on her chest, like a whisper refusing to leave. Emma met her best friend Sarah the next day, her voice trembling as she recounted the strange call. Sarah leaned forward, eyes wide, saying, "Emma, that's not nothing. You need to be careful." Emma replied, "He loves me. I can't doubt him now." Sarah sighed, squeezing her hand firmly. The cafe buzzed around them, laughter and clinking cups making Emma feel more isolated. The words replayed in her head, the caller's voice blending with Daniel's vows. She felt torn between loyalty and fear. Sarah's worried gaze anchored her, reminding her she wasn't alone, even when her heart felt trapped. That evening, Emma noticed a woman at the florist, staring too long at Daniel as he picked roses. The woman whispered to the clerk, eyes narrowing. Emma's stomach twisted. She asked softly, "Do you know her?" Daniel shrugged, replying, "Just a stranger." Yet Emma saw the flicker of recognition in his eyes. The woman turned and left, leaving the air charged with something unspoken. Emma's doubts grew louder, like a storm rolling in. She clutched the flowers, their thorns pricking her skin as if warning her that beauty often hides pain. The petals smelled sweet, but her trust was withering. Emma woke in the middle of the night to the sound of Daniel whispering urgently on the phone in the hallway. His words were hushed, clipped, too deliberate. She strained to hear, catching fragments. Not now, she suspects, tomorrow night. Her stomach tightened, cold sweat dampening her palms. She whispered to herself, "Who is he talking to at this hour?" The clock glowed 2:14 a.m., mocking her restless mind. She slipped back under the covers, pretending to sleep when Daniel re-entered with a smile too calm, too forced. He said, "Couldn't sleep either?" Emma nodded silently, her chest heavy with fear. The next morning, Emma forced a cheerful smile as she placed breakfast on the table. Daniel leaned forward, kissing her cheek, his warmth almost convincing. But his phone buzzed, and he flipped it face down with a sharp motion. Emma said softly, "Aren't you going to check that?" Daniel chuckled, brushing it off. "Work can wait. You matter more." The words sounded sweet, but the chill in his eyes betrayed something else. Emma swallowed hard, pretending to eat, though her stomach twisted. Every buzz of his phone echoed like thunder in her mind, drowning out the sound of their breakfast ritual. At the cafe near Emma's office, she paid for her coffee when the barista handed her the wrong receipt. It showed 2 cappuccinos and a red rose purchased hours earlier, Daniel's signature order. Confusion twisted her thoughts. She whispered, "But he told me he was at work." Her fingers shook as she folded the paper, heart pounding against her ribs. A woman nearby glanced at her strangely, as if she knew something. Emma quickly left, clutching the receipt like a burning coal, its edges crumpled from her grip. Each step felt heavier, suspicion creeping like poison through her veins. That evening, Daniel leaned against the balcony, phone in hand, scrolling too quickly, screen tilted away. Emma stepped beside him, forcing her voice calm. "Who keeps calling you so late?" Daniel chuckled. "Clients. They panic about deadlines." She pressed. "Are you sure?" His jaw tightened and he snapped. "Do you not trust me?" The words hit like a slap, the warmth between them curdling into ice. Emma looked away, the city lights below blurring as tears welled. She whispered, "I want to trust you." Daniel sighed, pulling her into an embrace that felt practiced, like a performance rehearsed too often. Later, Sarah met Emma at their favorite diner. Emma's voice cracked as she confessed, "I feel like I'm losing my grip on reality." Sarah frowned, saying, "No, you're seeing clearly. He's hiding something." Emma clutched her coffee, whispering, "But I can't walk away. Not yet." Sarah's eyes softened, her voice low. "Then at least protect yourself. Secrets rot love from the inside." Emma felt both comforted and terrified, trapped between loyalty and truth. The smell of fried food and the clatter of plates surrounded them, but Emma's world shrank to Sarah's worried eyes and the storm brewing in her chest. Emma rifled through Daniel's jacket while he showered, her pulse racing as if she were stealing from her own life. In the inner pocket, she found a hotel keycard, its name embossed in gold, a place far from where Daniel claimed to be. Her breath caught, her chest tight with dread. From the bathroom, Daniel's voice called casually, "Looking for something?" Emma shoved the card back in, her hands shaking, whispering, "Just checking for receipts." She prayed her tone sounded normal. The running water roared, drowning her pounding heart. The key card's image seared into her mind, its meaning screaming louder than words. She thought, if he's at hotels, then who is he meeting there? And why hide it? Guilt mingled with fear, but the seed of betrayal had already been planted, and it was growing fast. That evening, Emma forced herself to act normal at dinner, but the hotel card haunted her like a ghost. Daniel poured her wine, his smile effortless, saying, "To us, to forever." She lifted her glass slowly, the motion feeling heavy, her lips forming a forced smile. The clink of crystal echoed hollow, the sound cutting her deeper than silence. She asked lightly, "Have you traveled for work recently?" Daniel froze for the smallest second, a flicker she almost missed. He replied smoothly, "Just quick meetings, nothing important." Emma noticed how his eyes avoided hers, how his fingers gripped the glass too tightly. She swallowed, the wine bitter as ash, her thoughts screaming louder than his lies. Every toast became poison. Every glance carried weight. She whispered inside, "The more he lies, the less he belongs to me." The next afternoon, Emma stopped outside Daniel's office to surprise him. That's when she saw Clara. The woman leaned against a pillar, her dark eyes cutting through the crowd like a blade. Clara's lips curled into a faint smirk, a gesture so knowing it stole Emma's breath. Emma's pulse raced as she whispered, "Why is she here?" Clara turned, walking away without a word, her stride confident, almost taunting. Emma's heart sank as her mind connected threads she wished were lies. "She's not random. She's tied to him. She knows me, knows everything," she thought, her throat dry. The busy city around her blurred into meaningless noise, every honk and footstep fading into silence. Emma stood frozen, as if the ground itself betrayed her, forcing her to see what she could no longer deny. Emma burst into Sarah's apartment, her words tumbling in broken breaths. "I saw her, Sarah. She was outside his office like she belonged there." Sarah's expression hardened, jaw clenched, eyes fierce. "This isn't coincidence anymore. He's lying to you," she said firmly. Emma sank onto the couch, her shoulders collapsing as she whispered, "But I can't confront him yet. If I'm wrong, I lose him. If I'm right, I lose everything." Sarah knelt in front of her, taking her trembling hands. "Then we'll find proof. You don't have to face this alone." Emma's tears streaked her cheeks, burning trails of pain and relief. Beneath the ache, a spark of defiance flickered. "I need the truth," Emma thought, "even if it breaks me." That night, Emma finally pushed too far. Daniel returned late, his tie loose, his smile brittle. "Where were you?" she asked, her voice trembling but steady enough to sting. He scoffed, tossing his jacket aside. "Do you always interrogate me now?" Emma's tears brimmed as she whispered, "I just want the truth." Daniel's charm cracked, rage spilling through. He slammed his hand against the wall, his voice a thunderclap. "You're paranoid. You'll destroy us with your suspicions." Emma flinched, her breath caught, the silence heavier than the shouting. She thought, "This isn't love anymore. This is fear." Her heart broke, but also hardened, knowing the mask he wore was collapsing. Lies had filled their home like smoke, and soon she could no longer breathe inside it. Emma's fingers shook as she opened Daniel's laptop while he showered. The password he claimed to forget for months cracked open in one try. Inside, a hidden folder labeled "Clara" glared at her like fire. She clicked, her heart sinking at the sight of photos. Daniel with Clara at restaurants, holding hands, smiling like a lover, not a stranger. Her throat closed as tears blurred her vision. From the bathroom came Daniel's humming, careless and content. Emma whispered, "He lied to me, every second, every word." The world tilted under her feet, and her love collapsed into dust. Proof was here. Daniel stepped out of the bathroom, towel around his neck, catching Emma frozen at the laptop. His smile vanished as his eyes locked on the screen. "What are you doing?" he barked. Emma spun the screen toward him, tears streaming. "How long have you been lying?" she demanded. His face shifted, panic hidden under practiced charm. He snarled, "You shouldn't go through my things." Emma shouted, "You shouldn't have another life." The silence that followed was jagged, filled with the weight of truth. He clenched his fists, rage flaring, but behind it, guilt glimmered like a blade. Later that night, Emma sat alone on the porch, clutching her phone as it buzzed again. Clara's name lit up the screen this time. Her voice was calm but cutting. "You deserve to know. He promised me everything too." Emma's breath shattered in her chest. She whispered, "Why are you doing this?" Clara replied coldly, "Because you need to stop pretending he's only yours." The call ended, leaving Emma in silence so sharp it bled. The night air chilled her skin as she realized the truth no longer belonged to whispers. It stood undeniable, spoken aloud. Emma rushed to Sarah the next morning, her voice raw as she recounted Clara's call. "She knows everything, Sarah. She said he promised her forever too." Sarah slammed her coffee mug on the table, fury blazing. "Then it's true. He's betrayed you." Emma sobbed, "I wanted to be wrong. I prayed it was all in my head." Sarah gripped her hand, eyes fierce. "You're not crazy. He's the liar, not you." The cafe buzzed around them, but Emma heard only the roaring in her head. She felt broken, yet Sarah's conviction planted a seed of strength she didn't know she had. That evening, Emma sat in the living room when Daniel returned, his face composed as if nothing was broken. "We need to talk," she said firmly. He sighed. "You're making this bigger than it is." Emma rose, holding the printed photos from his laptop. "This isn't small. This is betrayal." His jaw tightened, his charm fully stripped away. "So what if I loved someone else too?" he hissed. The words tore through her, sharp as glass. The room seemed to collapse around her as she whispered, "Then you never loved me." In that moment, forever died. Emma stood at the window, watching Daniel leave late again, his excuses piling higher than her hope. His phone buzzed on the counter, and she froze at the name glowing across the screen. Clara. The world tilted as her chest tightened. The name now undeniable. She whispered, She isn't just a ghost, she's real, alive in his life. She didn't answer but burned the image into memory. Each step Daniel took away from the house felt like footsteps toward betrayal. The glass fogged with her breath as she pressed her forehead against it. I can't unsee it now, she thought, her reflection broken in the pain. Emma sat on the edge of her bed, clutching Sarah's words in her head. Protect yourself, she whispered. How do I protect myself from someone I thought was my life? Her eyes scanned the dresser drawer where she'd hidden the printed photos, the hotel card, and Clara's number. Each item was a weapon, each proof a dagger against the love she once carried. Her tears blurred the paper edges as her hand trembled. She thought, if this is war, then I need armor. Yet part of her still ached for Daniel's embrace, the warmth that now felt like poison. She hated her weakness, but even more, she hated his lies. The next day, Emma saw Clara again, this time at the bookstore near their home. Clara's eyes locked on hers, cold and deliberate. Without a word, she placed a book on the counter, its title bold, Secrets We Keep. Their gazes clashed like blades, silent but brutal. Emma's chest burned with unspoken questions. Clara leaned closer to the clerk, her voice low but sharp enough for Emma to hear. Some lies ruin more than one life. Emma's knees weakened, yet she refused to look away. She's not just an outsider, Emma thought. She's the shadow Daniel tried to bury. Emma stormed into Sarah's apartment once again, her voice ragged. She's everywhere, Sarah. It's like she's haunting me. Sarah pulled her close, anger flashing in her eyes. No, she's haunting him, and he's dragging you into it. Emma's tears spilled as she whispered, I don't know how much more I can take. Sarah cupped her face, steady and firm. Then decide, either confront him and burn the lie to the ground, or let him eat you alive. You deserve the truth. Emma clung to her friend, torn apart but stronger for the fire inside her chest. That night, Emma heard the door click at midnight. Daniel walked in, his shirt wrinkled, his cologne mixed with unfamiliar perfume. You're late, Emma said flatly. He smirked. Work ran long. She rose from the couch, holding the photos. Stop lying. I know where you've been. His smirk faltered, eyes narrowing. You don't know what you think you do. Emma's heart pounded, her voice steel. Then tell me why another woman answers your promises with the same yes you gave me. His silence confirmed the truth. The storm had reached its edge. The living room felt like a battlefield as Emma laid the photos on the table, her voice sharp. This is you and Clara. You can't deny it anymore. Daniel's smile cracked, fury flashing in his eyes. So you've been spying on me? He snapped. Emma shouted back, I've been trying to survive your lies. The walls seemed to close in as their voices collided, raw and merciless. Every word cut deeper, love shredded into jagged pieces. Daniel slammed his fist on the table, shouting, You don't understand. Emma's tears streamed as she screamed, Then make me understand. Daniel's voice cracked between rage and desperation. I never wanted to hurt you, Emma. I tried to keep both worlds separate. Emma's breath caught as she whispered, Both worlds? You mean both lives? His silence confirmed everything. She shook her head, her chest breaking apart. I gave you everything, and you gave me nothing but lies. Daniel grabbed her arms, desperate, shouting, You're still the one I love. She ripped herself free, her voice like ice. You don't get to use that word anymore. The air grew heavy, the house echoing with the death of promises once sacred. The front door opened with a sharp creak. Clara stepped inside, her presence like a knife slicing through the storm. He promised me forever too, she said coldly, her eyes locked on Emma. Daniel froze, color draining from his face. Emma's breath hitched, fury and devastation colliding. So it's true, she whispered. Clara crossed her arms unflinching. He built two lives and thought neither would collapse. Daniel stammered, Clara, not now. But his words carried no weight. Clara's smirk cut deeper than any denial, and Emma felt the final curtain fall on the illusion she once called love. The confrontation erupted like a storm. Emma screamed, "How could you do this to both of us?" Clara's voice was sharp, because he's selfish. He wanted everything without consequence. Daniel's eyes burned as he shouted, "Stop twisting this!" Emma pointed at him, her voice breaking. "No, this is you. This is who you are." Clara stepped closer, her words deliberate. "You were never his only, neither was I." Silence fell heavy, broken only by Emma's sobs. Daniel stood cornered, his mask shattered, no charm left, only raw desperation. The house shook with truth. Every lie finally exposed. Daniel collapsed into the chair, burying his face in his hands, his voice hoarse. "I never meant for it to go this far." Emma stood trembling, whispering, "You destroyed me, you destroyed us." Clara's eyes softened briefly, though her tone stayed sharp. "Now he has nothing. Not you, not me. Just the ruin he created." Emma looked at Daniel one last time, her tears silent, her chest hollow. She thought, "This isn't the man I loved. That man died with his lies." The storm of screams ended in suffocating silence. The world felt scorched, nothing left but ash. The living room was silent, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Emma stood like a statue, her eyes burning with tears that refused to stop falling. Daniel sat hunched in the chair, his shoulders sagging, his hands covering his face as though the weight of his lies had finally crushed him. Clara lingered by the doorway, her expression cold but weary, a shadow of her own wounds clear in her stance. Emma whispered, "This house is no longer a home. It's a coffin for love." Daniel's sobs broke through the silence, yet Emma felt no comfort in them. The walls seemed to press closer, trapping her in the ruins of a life she no longer recognized. The morning sun streamed into the cafe, too bright against Emma's hollow gaze. She sat across from Sarah, stirring her coffee, though she never lifted it to her lips. "It's over," she whispered, her voice cracked and brittle. Sarah reached across the table, gripping her hand firmly, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "He may have broken your heart, but he didn't break your spirit," Sarah said softly, her voice steady. Emma blinked, her throat tight, the chatter of other patrons blurring into meaningless static. "I don't know who I am without him," she admitted. Sarah leaned forward, squeezing tighter. "You are someone who deserves the truth, Emma. That's who you are." For the first time, Emma felt the faintest spark of strength beneath the ashes of her pain. Days later, Emma wandered into the florist shop, the air thick with the fragrance of roses and lilies. She stopped in front of a bouquet of red roses, the same kind Daniel once brought her after long absences. She touched the petals, the thorns pricking her finger, a small sting that grounded her in reality. Clara entered quietly, her presence heavy but calmer than before. Their eyes met, two women united, not by friendship but by betrayal. Clara spoke softly, her tone flat yet filled with sorrow. "He fooled us both." Emma nodded, her voice steady despite her trembling lips. "But he'll never fool me again." Clara gave her a final look, then turned and left, her shadow fading into the street. Emma exhaled slowly, the scent of roses both sweet and bitter in her lungs. That night, Emma packed in silence, folding her life into a suitcase, one memory at a time. Her fingers lingered on a sweater Daniel once bought her, the fabric now suffocating instead of comforting. Daniel leaned against the doorway, pale and exhausted, his eyes hollow with regret. "Please, Emma, don't go," he begged, his voice raw and stripped of its charm. She zipped the suitcase shut, the sound sharp and final. "You already made me leave the moment you chose her to," she whispered. His tears fell, but Emma felt nothing. Her love had burned away, leaving only ash. The suitcase clicked closed like the sound of chains breaking, and for the first time, Emma stood taller, her resolve carved out of betrayal. Emma paused at the front door, suitcase in hand, her heart pounding with the weight of her final choice. Daniel stood behind her, his voice shaking. "Emma, I still love you," he whispered desperately. She turned slightly, her eyes glistening but unyielding. "No, you only loved what you could control." The The words fell like a blade, cutting through the silence sharper than any scream. She opened the door, the cold night air rushing in, cleansing her of the suffocating lies. Behind her, the house loomed like a tomb, holding the corpse of their love. She stepped into the darkness, each footstep heavier than the last, but leading her toward freedom. The final blow wasn't his betrayal, it was her leaving, and she never looked back.